Gabby Petito was last seen leaving a hotel in Salt Lake City, Utah on August 24th, 2021. It is believed that she made it to Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming. She was traveling with her fiance, Brian Laundrie. Gabby is missing, and Brian has returned to their home in Florida. He has refused to speak with Gabby's family and has retained an attorney. Hey everybody, welcome to True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters. I'm Christy Brower here with my sister, co-host, and partner in crime, Katie Weaver. Hey Katie.
Hello.
How's it going?
It's going well.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. How's all your projecting? Aren't you doing all kinds of projecting? I know you set up your project room. Oh, maybe is this a call out?
No, my computer in the project room has really struggled. And Scott finally, I think, whipped it into shape today because every time I go down there to use it, I have all these things laid out that I want to make. I have the graphics already made, and my computer that prints to the Hootie-Doo printer is not working. Anyway, so I think it's working now. I don't know.
Good.
Very frustrating. But I also got I got 2 gallons of resin in the mail today too, because we're making resin skulls. Oh, we're making these really cool skulls that have flowers, that roses in the tops of them, and then they have gold flake in them, and they're going to be really cool for Halloween. And I'm actually hoping to start a pour tonight. So they'll take, I don't know, maybe 5 pours. They're big, but anyway, so that's how, it's not. I did, however, haul all of my Halloween stuff out today.
Oh.
Hauled it to the front yard. That's all I could handle. Then I was exhausted. So later this evening, when it cools off and it's just really nice outside, we're going to go out and get all of our Halloween stuff out.
I love it.
So.
You mean like the big yard blow-ups, right?
The big yard blow-ups and wreaths and all the little, guys we sit on the steps and all that stuff. Yeah. So I'm excited. I have been trying to get Halloween out for 2 weeks, and Scott keeps telling me it's too soon. And I finally went, Halloween is only 6 weeks away, Scott.
What are you doing?
It is go time.
It is go time.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh, speaking of go time, this case. Woo! Okay. So we're going to talk about Gabby Petito.
Yeah.
And Gabby Petito is actually from Florida. But she has gone missing, we think, in Grand Teton National Park, which is outside Jackson Hole in Wyoming. Not very far from us, just over the Tetons from us, really.
Not very far from us and adjacent to Yellowstone.
Yes.
The Grand Teton National Park turns into Yellowstone Park.
Right. So Gabby and her boyfriend Brian have been vampiring, as I say it, because we have a van too, van lifing it away all the way across the U.S. since early July. And, the plan was to go visit lots of national parks and cool things. And so she was last seen for sure on August 24th. And that was on security camera at a hotel in Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
So from there, it is believed that they traveled to Grand Teton National Park. And there was some communication from her phone to family and friends on August 25th and again on August 27th. But those were like text messages, Snapchat, that kind of thing. And so they weren't live, so it's not 100% sure that it was her.
Which was a little odd because she had FaceTimed with her mom nearly every day.
Oh, yeah.
And was constantly posting selfies on Snapchat and Insta and making videos. And, people saw her face nearly daily on this trip.
Yeah.
Suddenly they weren't. But to go from Salt Lake to go to Grand Teton National Park, literally they would have driven through our towns. We're just, yet again, we're like, holy, This is
Why
like
does
the
this stuff
Vallow
keep
case all
happening?
over again, only
Right, because yeah,
different.
they would
But
have driven right through Idaho Falls and Rexburg.
yeah.
They would have driven right through our area
Mhm.
to get there. It's probably only a 5 hour, 5.5 hour drive from Salt Lake City to Grand Teton National
Mhm.
Park. It's not a multi-day trip. That's a one
Mm-mm.
day
Oh yeah.
drive. So then communication just kind of drops off.
Mhm.
And Gabby's parents get real worried. Like, what is going on? Trying to get in touch with her.
Yeah.
And eventually, on last Saturday, right?
Yeah. On 9/11.
On 9/11, her mom is in New York. Her mom files a missing persons report with the Suffolk County Police Department in
Mhm.
New York State, which, I mean, okay. I
Right.
think she's in Wyoming.
But that's, yeah, a long ways from here. And that
It
is
is.
after she has tried to reach Brian and Brian's mother. And they have completely ignored her and not responded to any of her inquiries.
Yes.
Imagine that, you
Also,
know?
this van that they have been driving across the United States in is now back in Florida. Brian and the van are home.
Yep.
Gabby's not there. They're not speaking with anyone. Brian has lawyered up
Yeah.
and won't talk to anyone. And in the meantime, Gabby's poor parents are absolutely frantic. And
Mhm.
there are all these searches going on out in Grand Teton National Park. And you have to understand that this time of year, there are searches going on in Grand Teton National Park pretty much continuously, just
Yeah.
like there are in Yellowstone. People go
Mhm.
missing. This is rough, rugged terrain. People go missing out in places like this
Mhm.
all the time. It's in our news every single day this time
Well,
of
and there
year.
was an active search already underway for a man that went missing out of Jackson,
That's
like
right.
3 days before her.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, there's already stuff going down, but
But they haven't found anything.
no,
There's, the thought was maybe they had a big fight and broke up, and she took off to camp somewhere, and he just left her. Um, First of all, that would be super dangerous.
oh yeah,
The bear attacks are real high this year, higher than usual.
mhm, yeah,
You wouldn't just go out alone
no,
into that country, and you shouldn't.
no. The
I,
grizzly bears they've been rampant this year. They've been really active.
yeah, they've been
Yeah.
really active. It's been a really rough year
Mhm,
for grizzly attacks, but
mhm,
it just, to me, it seems really unlikely. First of all,
mhm.
this is a national park. You don't just set up camp wherever you want
Well,
at
no,
all.
no, not
That's
at
not how
all.
that works in
No,
Grand Teton or in Yellowstone. You have to have a reservation and a permit, and sometimes it takes a year to get those things. Like, you don't just show
yeah,
up and camp somewhere. It
no,
isn't
you
like that.
can't. There's also these parks are absolutely packed with people this year. Record numbers of visitors. Still are,
Yeah.
even after Labor Day. There's still there.
Yep.
Our parks are packed. There's no way to me that she's just stranded out there somewhere and just can't get help. There are people everywhere. This
People
is the
everywhere, rangers
wilderness,
everywhere.
but this is the pretend wilderness because
Yeah.
there are people everywhere you go.
Well, and this is highly protected. And
Mhm.
so there are rangers everywhere.
Yeah,
There are rangers specifically looking for people camping illegally. Like, I
yeah.
mean, where could she even get to
I
on foot?
She
I'm
couldn't.
She couldn't. I mean, we were just there, we drove through a couple of months ago, and I just think about, like, everything. There are lots of parking areas that are trailheads that have bathrooms and things like that. But there are also zillions of people going through those places
Right.
every single day.
Like, in other words, you could always get help. There's no way
Yes.
she's just stranded somewhere with no help. The
No,
other part of this is it is true that cell phone service is iffy up in that area,
it
but it's not
is.
impossible.
No. It's one of those you walk around till you get some bars kind of situation.
And
Yeah.
depending on your carrier, I mean, I have
Right.
Verizon, and when we went through the park this year, I never lost service once, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Verizon is the strongest out here.
Mhm.
Um,
Now her
well,
mom's oh,
oh,
go
go ahead.
ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, her mom has referenced now a fight that they had recently
Yes.
while they've been traveling, and that maybe they had another fight.
Mhm.
And so, there are some indications that this relationship isn't super stable.
Yeah.
Like they're engaged, they had a wedding date, they had a plan, and now they've backed it off and decided just to date for a while.
Mhm.
The public statement is because they just feel like they're too young and they're not quite ready. But there's so much that we don't know.
Mhm.
Who made that decision?
Mhm.
Why? You know,
Her uncle also says that they believe that he flew back to Florida in August for 5 days, and that he and his dad cleared out their apartment and put all of her things in storage. And then he flew back to Salt Lake just a day or two before they were seen together at that hotel leaving. That
and
something
why did they
has
put
gone
her
on.
things? And here's the reality, you guys. It's possible that she's not in Wyoming at all
Totally.
because the last confirmed sighting of her was in Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
So,
Well, she checked in 3 different places in Wyoming on Bing
well,
or
her
on
phone
like
did.
Google Maps. Yeah, her phone
Her
did.
phone
That's
did. Yeah, they have like spots where you can see where her phone did. That
mhm.
doesn't mean it was her using the
Yeah.
phone. I mean, that's something that we have to be aware of
Mhm.
is she actually in Grand Teton National Park? We don't know.
Mhm.
What we do know is that her fiance isn't speaking to anyone
Yeah.
at the recommendation of his attorney,
Yep.
and he's back in Florida while his so-called fiance is missing in Wyoming.
Yeah.
This is the sketchiest situation I have seen in a long time.
Yeah. Well, and the statement that came out today from his attorneys are just disgusting. That
Yes.
he and his family, at the advice of their attorney, are going to stay in the scenes, wait in the wings for a while on this
Mhm.
investigation.
Yeah.
And her parents are like, How? Why?
Right. I mean, you were the
You
last person to be with her.
Yeah.
What happened? Where was she the last time you saw her? They're
And you
not
were supposedly the
talking at
person who
all.
loved her most in the world. Like, how could this be? Yeah.
Yeah. It it's not good.
No.
It's not good at all. And I know that at this point they're really hoping she's just out camping somewhere. I got to tell you she's not.
No.
She's not.
No. This is not good. Not good at all.
It isn't. It isn't, but I don't know how you could possibly make yourself look more guilty
Yeah.
than Brian Laundrie has
Mm-hmm.
by just going back to Florida with his van as
Yeah.
though nothing happened and showing back up at home with
Mm-hmm.
no explanation. I mean, come
Yeah.
on. And if something
Yeah.
did happen to her, he's not reported it.
No.
I mean, I just can't think of a way that you would look more guilty. Like if she was truly missing, why wouldn't he be the one reporting it to the police, the local police,
Mm-hmm.
and being a part of the search looking for her,
Mm-hmm.
knowing where they had been last and stuff? Like none
Yeah.
of this makes any sense at all.
No. It does not. But this is very early in this investigation. And just like with the Daybell Vallow case, technology will tell the tale.
Oh, it will.
There's lots of cameras up in that area.
There sure are. Way more than you would think. The
Mm-hmm.
national parks are a little sneaky that way.
But I keep expecting, just like in the Daybell Vallow case, when they put out a big call to the public and said, anyone who was taking pictures in this area on this day, we need them. I keep wondering if that's what's next, that the FBI will say, we need to see them. And people will start flooding them with photos of their family vacays and stuff, trying to get a picture of her, which worked in the Daybell Vallow situation.
It sure did.
Now, this case is going to bring up the conversation about the dead zone.
Yes, it
right?
will. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It will. So let's have it.
Good job. I hadn't even thought of it, but you're right. How far away is that from where they were thought to be?
Close. It's not that close, but it will still bring up this conversation. So we will have it.
Okay.
So there is a certain spot of land between Idaho and Montana, not Wyoming, but you got to understand where the park intersects. You have
it's like in this three corners kind of deal.
You have Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming. And so you can end up in all three states in one day easily, if you're going through the park. There's a spot between Idaho and Montana that is so rural that literally nobody lives there. Now, you've heard it said, you probably heard TikToks about this or heard people say that there is a spot here that is under no one's jurisdiction. And if you were to commit a crime here, no one would have the authority to try you for it. Maybe you've heard that said. Here's why. Because no one lives there. And so were you to be convicted or charged of a crime there would be no jury of your peers because no one lives there.
It's right on the edge of Yellowstone Park, so it's very, very rugged. And it's just not a place that is viable to live.
And so, no, it's not. And for that reason, people believe that if you were to be charged with a serious crime there, you couldn't actually be tried for it because there's no one to try you. It's true. Maybe not.
It's still within the United States, and so I still think there's federal jurisdiction over it.
Right. Legal scholars argue over whether or not that's really true or that isn't. But there's always that conversation. And of course, when the Vallow kids were missing, that was the same conversation. Well, they killed them and disposed of them in the dead zone. If you guys have ever watched the show Yellowstone, and if you know when they take people to the bus station or the train station, if you know, that's where they're going, the dead zone, right? And you never come back from the train station. And so I know that
nobody ever finds you either because nobody can even go there to find your body to begin with.
Oh, totally. Yeah. It's a ravine, it's a ravine. Anyway, I know that's going to come up in the scope of this conversation about her. I've been thinking about it. So I figured we might as well get it out of the way right now. Again, is it true that you can't actually be tried there? I don't know. Legal minds argue about whether or not that's true or not. But it is a conversation people have about that spot.
It is. And it is quite a long ways from Grand Teton National Park. It's not like that it's adjacent. It isn't.
No, it's probably a 3-hour drive, maybe.
Probably, yeah. But it is a thought, I mean, when you get up into these, hikers, rock climbers, campers get killed in places like Grand Teton National Park every year.
Oh, yeah.
Because, they fall off a mountain or they get attacked by a grizzly bear or, whatever. You also got to remember, you guys, it's actually getting into the 30s at night.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
This is fall in Idaho, and we're already, when we went camping last weekend, which is when she's missing, we had frost on our camp chairs, overnight and stuff. It's getting cold. This is not a time that humans are going to survive outside.
Well, not without
the right gear and stuff.
Definitely.
Overnight. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to keep our finger on this case, obviously. We'll keep an eye out to, of anything that comes from it. There is new info literally pouring in every day. Obviously, this is the very beginning. Now, when there is a case this new, you guys probably know this about us by now, but we will not read it
Nope.
because that's super irresponsible and we're not going to do that. So
No, we
I
don't have family. We don't have the right to do that to her family, and we're just not going to.
no, if a family asks us to read something privately that's brand new, that's one thing. But over the air, brand new, not happening. So some of you won't like that, I know, but that's our policy,
It's
and
just
that's okay.
that's just our ethics. We strive
Yeah,
to help in these situations, not do harm.
yeah,
And you can really do some harm
hmm most
doing,
definitely.
giving information like that when
Well,
it can't be verified yet,
no, and her family needs hope and they
They
need
do.
help, you know. So here's my prediction. Over the next week, I think we'll get a lot more information about Brian. I think
Mhm.
we'll get a lot more information. Maybe we won't, but the police are going to get a lot more information about her digital footprint. I think
Mhm.
Brian's going to be a little surprised by what they're going to know by
Oh,
her
yeah.
digital footprint. Now, there was a couple of contacts from her with her mom and another friend via text and Snapchat, you know, leading up until the 30th, but neither of them are convinced it was actually her. It
Right.
didn't feel or sound exactly like her. There were no pictures, no, not the typical selfies and stuff like that she would send while she was, communicating with them. And so there is some thought that perhaps he had her phone and
Mhm.
was using it to send messages to seem like her or whoever, maybe did harm to this girl. So I that'll be an interesting thing that I think the digital snapshot's going to be key for this case.
Oh, yeah. It will. It will most definitely be key.
Yeah. Yeah, very sad, but we'll keep our fingers all over this one for sure.
We will, and we will update you, as we can, and I just wish people would stop going missing in our area, dang it.
I know. I
But,
know. And this one's a heartbreaker. I feel so sorry for her parents being so far away.
oh my
Dad is
gosh,
in Florida. Mom is in New
New
York.
York.
Yep, Dad had moved to Florida to be closer to them.
Yeah.
There is
Yeah,
something
that's
else
gotta be
with
really hard.
Dad. He sent her a pizza. He Uber eats
Eats it.
her eats her a pizza a couple of nights before she disappeared. He says that she told him that she lost Wi-Fi, that the power was out in Ogden and she lost Wi-Fi, and he sent her over some food. He also, though, said that he and her mom both had been sending them some money to continue on their trip because they were having so much fun and they thought this was such a cool idea and experience for them to have. And so there is some question about, were they out of money, and
Right,
how
right.
many nights did she spend in a hotel and who paid for that? And why was dad really sending her over food? And,
Mhm.
there's a lot of stuff like that that still we just, we don't know the answers to yet, but it
Right.
all is very interesting. Some people have tried to link their experience to the murders in Moab.
Mhm.
There were two women, a lesbian couple that was murdered in a campground in Moab, Utah, earlier in August, and apparently they were in Moab around the same time. I don't know that I feel like there's anything to that. I don't know that they're
I
linked at all, but it
I
is
think they were in Moab a little
indicated.
while after that.
Maybe
But,
they were. Yeah.
but yeah, I don't think there's any connection.
I don't think there's any
That was a
connection,
hate
but
crime.
that was a hate crime. But
That
that
was the murder of and
did
they weren't just
happen.
camping in Moab, they were living.
Right.
They were living there, and they had just
Mhm.
gotten married,
Yeah.
and they were murdered for
Well,
being
they were
gay.
living in a campground, but yes. Yeah.
Yep, they were.
Yeah. So anyhow, there's been a lot of shenanigans afoot, unfortunately.
Yeah, there sure has, but we will keep you updated.
Hmm.
This is our Wednesday case, so we will be back tonight. The case update will be at 8 p.m. Mountain tonight
Hmm.
because, of course, the nephew's football game had to be moved to a different day. But we will be here at 8. We have a lot of updates for
Hmm.
you and several different
Yes.
cases and some horrifying things, some interesting things. We
Hmm.
will share it all. And then, of course, on Thursday night will be the psychic update, and that is also at 8 p.m. We've moved that 8 p.m. Mountain. We've moved that throughout the fall to accommodate said football. So,
and we are this week on the Psychic Hour. We are talking about ancestor altars.
yes,
what are they? How to build one? Why to build one? And yeah, share a little bit with you about what we do.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's going to be super fun.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Well, you guys know it. We are True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters. Thanks for being here.
Take care.